Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praise unto Yahweh Shai, Shai wa Harakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone, ownership offers the people pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. This is gonna be a video. I'm gonna call this video if I'm gonna base it on this song, right? By this, they had this song in 1996. Called If I Ruled the World. And growing up as an Israelite, pretty much when you see a song like this and you so-called chill out and vibe to tunes like this, pretty much your mindset is on a level, okay, where you're thinking if you rule the world, you're thinking about all the BS things you could do, right? all the shit that you can get away with. All right, where you here at GreatMillStone, we have a thing that we say you gotta have a ruling class mentality. All right, having three Mercedes Benz, okay, the top range of them outside a 16-bedroom house, all right, with one wife and three kids is not a ruling class mentality. Now that might even the way I said it, okay, it might sound good or whatever, but that's not a ruling class mentality, man. See, what you're going to find out is kings have slaves, okay? And a ruling class mentality, you're really looking at your enemies as your slaves. They're going to be your subjects. Now, let's look at it from the current state of affairs. You got the elite banking families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, and so on and so forth that run the world right now. And you got the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans that are on the bottom of that. Now, when you check out the history and you find out who was ruling prior to the elite banking families coming into power around about the 1600s, underneath the family known as the Bourgeois, then you find out that they've made sure that their main enemy, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, was at the most bottomest of the class. Not only that, they've made sure that all the other competitors, if you will, the Elamites, the Moabites, the Ishmaelites, are subject unto him, and they've used the monetary system as a means of making sure that their subjects remain their subjects. All right, so they rule the world and they have slaves. They have gold. They're not dealing with Federal Reserve notes. When you're looking at the elite banking families, ain't talking about how much cars that they have. They're talking about how much land they have, how much vineyards they have, how much horses that they have on those plots of land. They're talking about what villa that they're gonna stay in out of the ones that they have. They're talking about the bottle of wine that they've put away for 20 odd years that came off of their vineyard. All right, or they're talking about generational vineyards. Their great-great-grandfather basically bottled a bottle of wine off of that vineyard 20 years ago. 50 years ago, and they're gonna pop it for their so-called birthday or whatever. This is what's known as a ruling class of mentality, man. And this is the mindset you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans have to adopt. Because when you read the scriptures and you understand what the scriptures is talking about, you quickly getting into finding out that we're the ones that are gonna inherit the world, man. The scripture says within the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter and the 9th verse, that Esau is the end of the world. See, they're in rulership right now, but that rulership, it ain't gonna last forever, man. The scripture talks about they bury is the end of everything, that the beginning thereof. This is the end of their world. This is gonna be good for us, but it's gonna be bad for them, because as you're gonna see within the scriptures, they're walking right into slavery. Just like how we became the bottom of their society, they're gonna become the bottom of our society. So I'll start this particular lesson within the book of Psalms, the 149th chapter, and I'll do my best to keep some kind of consistency, but I might just go with on the fly, jump around on topics. The book of Psalms 149 and 7. To execute, now I'll have to read from 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of Yahweh Hashem Shai be in their mouths, and a two-edged sword in their hand. To execute vengeance upon the heathens and punishments upon the people. To bind their kings, our kings, us as kings, us as a nation of kings and priests, are going to bind their kings within with fetters of iron, and their nobles, with chains, and their nobles with fetters of iron, and we're going to execute vengeance upon them. The judgment written, right? This honor have all the saints, praise ye Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So that's like a beautiful thing where the Most High is going to flip over the tables and have it where the so-called enemies, well, not the so-called, the enemies that we have right now, they're going to become slaves to us. And the thing of slavery is a beautiful thing. All right. The scripture says within the book of Revelations, which I'm getting here in the background, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. This is a just balance. And it goes to show you that if you have a ruling class mentality, really, you're going to be thinking on a higher plane, right? You're talking about running, you're talking about being CEO of this record label. Look, man, when we get set up in the kingdom, running a household is going to be a beautiful thing, because let's really look at it from a ruling class mentality. What does running a household mean, right? Let me read the scripture and I'll answer that. All right, Revelations 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So he that leadeth into captivity, he that was going to lead into captivity, that person was going to be taken into captivity, man. So the elite bankers took the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans into captivity. They're going to go into slavery themselves. Now, I had mentioned a statement, just the thing of running a household right now. Check this out. When you watch these TV programs like Game of Thrones, all right, what else comes to mind? Spartacus, and so forth and so on, you should be starting to think a particular kind of way, man. And I recommend you watch those TV programs, because the way you're supposed to be thinking in terms of running a household, and this is going to be a small household. Now, you got to check this out. This is a small household, right? You got a man, a woman, and the children. Let's say they got 2 children. Now, within Israel, all right, and especially the time that we're going to be getting into, that each one of those people would have had what's known as a body slave. All right, your woman would have had another person that just takes care of her. And your son has someone that maybe 1 or 2 people that take care of them. You might have a cupbearer. You might have a chamber. There was a thing called a chamber maiden, man. All right. When you check Game of Thrones, they got these ideas from the ancient world, and this thing is coming back. Right. You had what was known as basically a chamber slave, right? A person that basically takes care of your woman, right? Does the bed for her, okay? Brushes her hair, right? Your woman might take a shit inside the bedroom. She takes the shit out, right? You had that. And then your son's going to have a similar kind of thing, but obviously it more catered to, the male spirit. And you as the man, you was going to have the same thing. You might have a cupbearer. All right, that's going to be one slave. You might have a individual that you're raising up to be on your level when he grows up, like a squire if you're a knight. So there's a lot of things that comes with just running one household, man. That's a ruling class mentality. You got people that do stuff, jobs that are being done around the house, man. You don't lift a finger in your own household. It's your household. Okay? You got servants to do those particular things, and that's just running the household. Now, check it out. What about when it comes to running the whole entirety of the planet or the earth, man? The scripture talks about how the forces of the Gentiles, the book of Isaiah, the 60th chapter, the forces of the Gentiles is going to be brought towards us. Their nobles was going to be what? They're going to be in chains. The scripture talks about how it's going to take 1,000 years before these nations come up on the level, man. That is to say, they're going to be in the slavery for 1,000 years before they get their own. They're going to be in slavery for a hardcore. Let me rephrase, so I don't misquote. They're going to be in hardcore slavery, for a period of 1,000 years, man. Now check that out. When does your preacher, your so-called pastor, teach you that? Okay, they're going to be in slavery for a period of 1,000 hardcore years, building up Jerusalem, man. That's going to be a beautiful thing, man. Okay, that's a ruling class mentality. Hardcore slavery, just like how we was in hardcore slavery underneath the so-called white man building up America, building up England. Because a lot of Jakes, you got a thing called the Windrush here in the UK. There's a lot of Jakes that came out here And they basically built Britain up. And there was even more Israelites that was out there within America that built America up. So every time you have a great city, there's a need for slaves for it. Okay, Egypt, you had slaves that built up Egypt and made it what it was. Now check it out. The Mosai's kingdom is going to be the most glorious kingdom that's ever existed upon the face of the planet. When we rule the world, we're going to have slaves, man. And we're going to have the most hardcore slavery that's ever been known to man. You think the transatlantic slave trade was bad? You should see the judgment that's going to come upon the people that put the children of the Mosai into the hardcore slavery, man. Just like we read within the book of Revelations 13 and 9, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Okay, so pretty much with that, I could go on this topic for all day. I might call it a part 1, and I might do a part 2, part 3 in the future, dealing with other facets. For instance, the laws. When we rule the world, we're gonna have the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High within our heart. Book of Hebrews 8 and 8. So there's a lot of different things with this thing of rulership that really you gotta be on a, the Most High is gonna put us on a level to really get into the breath of, man. Okay, so with that, I'm going to say, all praise unto Yahweh, Shimi Al-Shai, Waharakah Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone. Honor your brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.